I went back home recently and I was going through a bunch of my childhood things that my mom still has. One of the things I found was like my old Matchbox cars and Hot Wheels cars. The one that I kept finding was the Porsche 911. There's like a white one and a silver one and several red ones, so there's definitely something like ingrained in my brain there, I think. What always interested me in cars is I really like just to go fast. I'm also a runner. I used to race downhill mountain biking. I used to race track cycling. Just this idea of moving, something that really I connect with. My father was a video artist and sculpture artist, and my mother was very arts oriented, but she also had a lot of friends who were architects. To me, that was like a really big inspiration, being surrounded by people who did interesting things with their homes, their cars. There was a lot of like Euro cars around when I grew up. Something I love about automotive culture is the design of every vehicle. I think there's like a deep connection between architecture and automotive design. That's kind of like what led me down the path of what I do today, which is like really like designing experiences for people, digital experiences. I grew up driving 80s and 90s cars. Those are the cars that I cut my teeth on. Those are the cars that I thought were really cool. And I said to myself, one day I'm going to own this car, one day I'm going to own this car. I own a 1988 Porsche 930. What I really love about specifically the G-body 911 is that they had this cockpit design for like 20 years. Some people say that's testament to just how good of a design it is. But what I actually think is the opposite. It's that they were really kind of operating in the same way that I work on the products that I design, which is in what we would call like an iterative capacity. When you have a new feature to add, instead of redesigning the whole thing to incorporate a new feature, you're just kind of iterating on the previous version. Between 1970 and 1990, there was a ton of technological advancements. Power windows, power mirrors, climate control got way better. And all these things that need controls, they had nowhere to put them. And so the inside of the G-body Porsche, especially the late ones, is kind of a mess. The mirror knob is on the left, but to switch between the left and right mirror, it's actually on the right. The climate control is on the floor for the heat. AC is down by your feet. I really connect with that. I think it's an amazing design artifact. It's an amazing case study. It feels almost like a grandma car when you're driving it until you get to like the 3,500 or 4,000 RPM, and then the turbo kicks in and it just takes a while for it to spool up, but once it does, it like really pushes you into your seat. It's kind of like some people might call it like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde experience. I have a very, very strong running community, especially in Bed-Stuy, New York. But then another big community for me that I realized was invisible to me before I really kind of went out and looked for it was like the auto community. When I moved here 10 years ago, I didn't think that I would really get back into driving at all. I took the subway for a long time, but eventually sort of seeped back into my life. That experience of driving in New York is like not super pleasant, and owning a car in New York is not super easy. There's definitely a mutual or shared experience amongst those people of like, we do this because we love it, and we do this because we like being a part of a community together. That sense of community has been really important for me. But then the other thing is going out for a drive, there's a meditative quality to it. Even when it's super hot, or even when there's like bad traffic, which can be like really brutal, physically even. You're sitting there in an old hot car, the clutch is really heavy, your legs are getting a little sore, your back hurts, but it's an important thing for my mental health, my well-being, but also it's just something I kind of grew up with, and it's a part of me. Driving is a part of me, for sure.